They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff.
How we see these tariffs playing out and impacting our industry.
Today, we're talking about tariffs and how it affects a roofing industry. Roofers were in the middle of the tariff chaos in Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago. I talked to someone on the ground to find out what have happened. Welcome to the Roofing News. Before we get started, I also want to share that just yesterday, I have received email from Beacon Supply about them raising prices on all their accessories. We're talking about 25% increases on things like nails, underlayments, I believe 6%. So as you know, BM Direct Supply is my company and we're very, very competitive in accessories. So fair to say, today is the best time to stock up for the season. Tariffs are coming. You're reading the news. I know we're on pause now for a couple of months, but you will never see prices in the roofing industry decline. So it usually goes up and up and up. BM Direct Supply is not actually a supply company. We're a logistic company. You do need a partner in that business. We will find a factory that will get you the best quality, the best deal, and we will help you to pay the tariffs, to pay all the shipping and deliver it to your door. So if you go to bmdirect.com, you will see it's a brand new website. It's beautifully done. It's very user-friendly. We actually have 3 sales in the very first day. We launched it a couple days ago. I want you to check it out. Shop around. I'll put my number below. If you don't see what you're looking for on the website, text me and we will do custom deal just for your company. All the pricing on the website includes delivery, taxes, tariffs, shipping, all of that. Go try it for yourself. Now let's get to the story from Washington, D.C. last week. National Roofing Contractor Association was in Washington, D.C. Roofers from around the country were there to talk to Congress about passing policies that supports contractors. Now, this is an annual event that gets planned for months in advance, but it just so happened to fall a week after President Trump announced massive new tariff plans. The stock market was in chaos, and business owners everywhere were getting worried. Since then, some tariffs have been put on hold, but there is still a 10% universal tariff and 145% on China. And you've seen recently it went actually to 240%. All of this to say, it was a pretty dramatic week in Washington, D.C. I checked in with Dwayne from NRCA to see how it all went, to find out if there are any good news for roofers. Before we get to the interview, I want to shout out Raindrop Gutter Guards for sponsoring this show. If you've seen my reviews, you already know I'm a fan. Raindrop Gutter Guards are built to last. They're effective, easy to install, and they blend with every roof line. But there is something contractors should also know. Raindrop has a registered installer program. When you sign up, you get access to quite a few things. Extended 25-year warranty to offer your customers, including hail insurance, free marketing materials, free classes from Larry Janeski's School of Entrepreneurship, and access to leads generated through Raindrop's website. Go to link in description to sign up. Now let's get back to my Washington drama. My first question to Dwayne is, how did the tariff announcements affect roofing day?
There's always a buzz. I mean, it's, in particular for first-time people who have not done it before, it's a unique thing and it's an exciting thing. But I think this year the buzz was off the charts, given the timing with, what was going on with tariffs, the impacts on the stock market, the speculation about, what these very unprecedented in recent years tariffs means for our industry and for the broader economy. A lot of conversations, among our members at our, networking events before we went up on Capitol Hill when we're talking about the various issues that we're going to be advocating for and the networking receptions and whatnot, lots of conversations there.
Tariffs were in use, but they weren't the reason NRCA was in town. The big ticket items were tax reforms and solving labor shortages. Roofers came with a list of issues and talking points months in advance. I wanted to know, did any of those change when Trump came into the office.
There is a bit of an emphasis on getting tax policy done because some of the tax provisions expire at the end of the year. So there's a real sense of urgency, in particular with the Section 199A deduction for pass-through businesses, which makes up roughly 75% of NRCA members. That tax deduction is just really critical. It was part of the 2017 tax reform bill. It expires at the end of this year, and Congress is working on a major bill, which is going to have components of President Trump's agenda, which we do believe will contain that provision. But again, there's lots of budget uncertainty with respect to how tax policy impacts the federal budget. And then with respect to workforce, and in particular, immigration, we do have an urgency to really continue to focus on immigration because of what we're seeing from the Trump administration with their focus on border security, increased worksite enforcement on immigration issues. And we do believe that we need to have a new visa program to provide for legal immigration when it's needed in this country. We certainly understand and agree with combating illegal immigration. And then also there is the question of some folks within our industry workforce who have either temporary protected status or those in the DACA program, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. They are in a bit of limbo right now. We're seeing the Trump administration take some decisions which would curtail some of their legal authority to stay in the country and within our workforce. And we're very concerned about that.
Even with all the fighting in Washington, there were some wins. There was at least one issue that got support from both Democrats and Republicans.
There's a workforce training bill that was very close. It's called a Stronger Workforce for America Act. It basically would reform and improve workforce training programs that our members really haven't had a chance to take advantage of because they're not really effective. But this legislation, which was developed over the last couple of years, is very bipartisan and has very strong support within Congress. And we almost got it over the finish line last year. But we think there's really good opportunity to get that legislation passed and enacted into law sometime later this year or early next year. And we had good conversations on all the issues, but we had particularly good conversations with some key lawmakers on that legislation.
Roofing Day was on April 9th. That afternoon, President Trump announced a 90-day pause on a lot of tariffs, but some of them are here to stay, at least for now. No matter what your politics are, this is an issue that affects the whole industry. I asked Dwayne if NRCA might take it on it in the future. Here's what he said.
It's certainly a possibility. I mean, you have basically now President Trump coming out with various different types of tariffs some have been put in place, some have now been announced, and then the ones last week, a lot of them were delayed for 90 days. So we are starting to see some of the impacts. We're having lots of discussions with NRCA members and in particular our leadership as to how we see these tariffs playing out and impacting our industry. Also, President Trump is doing these tariff announcements unilaterally, and there are members of Congress who are looking at this and developing potential legislation that might either nullify or modify some of the tariffs. And that's one of the controversial aspects here. Over the decades, Congress has actually delegated a lot of authority to the president on trade. And now that we have a president who is really utilizing that authority very emphatically, Congress is kind of saying, okay, does this make sense, or do we need to step in and maybe make some modifications or even possibly block some of the tariffs? They do have the power to do that. So that's I think that type of legislation is in very early stages. But it's something we're watching very closely, in addition to how the tariffs are being implemented, and that is certainly a possibility, depending on how all this kind of plays out in the coming weeks and months and even potentially beyond. Yes.
NRCA is already planning a roofing day 2026, but there will be more events before then. We'll keep you posted on those. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about these issues? What do you think about tariffs, cost of materials, cost of accessories that comes from overseas? What do you think the industry should do as a whole? Should we bring all the production here? Is that the answer? What's most important to you and what's having the biggest impact on your business, whether it's taxes, immigration, tariffs, or something else? I read all of my comments, comment below. And again, go check BM Supply website. It's brand new. I would appreciate your feedback. Maybe you comment your feedback in comments as well. I'll see you guys in the next video.